Hello, everybody, and welcome to our office here at Inspiring Vacations. I'm Cassandra, and this is my colleague, Doug.
How are you, everyone? Thanks for tuning in. Sorry, it's a bit late notice, but Cass isn't normally with us in Melbourne, so we thought she's here today, so let's have a chat about Japan.
Yeah, let's. And you just got back from Japan. How exciting. And I know that the rest of the group that went as well had a brilliant time. And I think there's so many of us back here in Australia and even in New Zealand that are really excited to hear how everything went and curious more than anything. And I know that you had a really great conversation with me when you first got there about arrival details, what you need. Maybe we could just touch on that really quickly again, just for anybody that missed that live.
Yeah, so basically, first day in Japan when I arrived, had a chat with you, Cass, about the extra sort of processes that we have to go through currently to go to Japan, most notably getting a visa, which is not something we've previously needed. There are also some hoops to go through with, negative COVID tests and that kind of thing. So that was the first day I was there, and then I've been giving some sort of updates throughout the time I was there as well. And now that I'm back in Australia, just giving a bit more of a rundown on what it's actually like to travel through Japan, because when we first had a chat, it was basically just
day one,
and we just discussed, what it was like to get there. But certainly more to give now. So
excellent. Let's get into that. So if anybody does have curiosities around what it's like to get ready to go, please go back through our Facebook page here and re-watch that video that Doug did, because it is very, very interesting. And I know that our team here at Inspiring Vacations has been able to reach out to everybody with impending trips in the next couple of weeks and assist with the paperwork required there. Things keep changing, and we will keep updating all of our requirements that, we know about officially from the Japanese government and the Australian government. We'll continue to feed those through to you, especially if you are leaving very soon. So thank you for that. But Doug, you arrived, we spoke to you, and then the next day you actually set out on your adventure. And this was your first time to Japan, yes?
First time in Japan. Right. Only had about 3 weeks notice before heading there. So massive whirlwind to go through all those sort of extra hoops and stuff. And to get there and to arrive there was phenomenal, really. And I guess the expectation I had, and I guess one of the reasons for this update is the expectation I had was probably not what the reality was. The expectation I had was we really were sort of restricted to our hotel, aside from, day excursions essentially, and then would have meals together and then would come back as a group. And that was, I was looking forward to that because I hadn't been in Japan before, and it was a really good opportunity for me. And that was the expectation amongst the group as well. The reality was very different, and that was evident from the first day. We were going by, the strictest, most literal interpretation of the guidelines given to us.
Which I think is the way to go.
Because, and there are some sort of translation issues as well there, I think, potentially, where it really was that you have to be accompanied by an escorted tour all the time. And that really just isn't actually the case at all. So first day we had free time to essentially do what we wanted to do. The itinerary was more inclusive than normal for the Unforgettable Japan tour, because there were, I think, normally sort of some free days which you could include with optional tours. My tour, it filled those out with inclusions, but there was free time for you to eat in restaurants, to go out and explore, and that was a real surprise, because that wasn't what I was expecting going in.
Well, absolutely not. I think when we first sent that first group, and Doug was a part of that group, we quite literally thought you had to be with the group the entire time. And look, that's the guidelines that we've been given. So we do very much need to, stick within those guidelines. But the reality when you're on the ground was that you saw it being a little bit more flexible. Did you go out?
I did.
Yes.
Yeah. So went out on the underground a couple of times in Tokyo and Kyoto, and also explored around the hotels, which were sort of centrally and conveniently located, and had a really good time, especially in Tokyo and Kyoto, exploring around in the other destinations, and also Kanazawa as well. Blew my mind, that city. I was only there for one night, but really loved it. Would love to go back. Yeah, so the touring aspect, we were sort of back to the hotel around 3 or 4 o'clock, and that gives you time to have a little walk in the evening, or choose your restaurant, or whatever it may be. So some nights we get back at sort of 7 or 8 if they were sort of travel days. But yeah, plenty of time.
So I guess my big question, and perhaps everybody else, and by the way, guys, if you do have some questions for Doug, can you please pop them in the comments here on this Facebook Live, because I will be looking at those. I can see them. Yes, I can. And we can answer those straight away. So please do put them in the comments. But I guess the question from me, Doug, to you is, I was curious to understand how it all might have been policed. Did you see authorities in and around? No. Nothing like that.
So yeah, again, my conception was that we were not allowed to leave the hotel. That was what I thought going in. And the first night I was there, I was sort of, geez, can I go out to the 7-Eleven even, And once that was broken, I think on that first day, when we were out and we were on tour, we were, escorted by our guide. As I've sort of explained in some other videos while I've been there, it's part of an attraction. We're being escorted by our guide at an attraction, but at the same time, within that, there's plenty of freedom to then go and do your own thing. And once we all sort of realized that, we can go to a souvenir shop and buy a souvenir. We can go to a restaurant and have something to eat.
Okay.
So because we are with the group.
Yes.
And no, to answer your question, sorry, there was no policing of it, because it was quite clear from being there without looking at a piece of paper. It was quite clear from being there that wasn't what was intended.
Yes.
And it wasn't. Yeah, so it wasn't policed at all, because they actually wanted us to be there. Some questions.
And I did want to ask a question about that, because obviously all around the world, and I felt the same when I traveled recently, locals and certainly those within the hospitality industry were just so excited to see visitors again, as you would be, of course, and we're thrilled to be there. Tell me about that. What was it like being there? Were there many groups? Were there many visitors? What was your experience?
So again, I've never been to Japan, so I can't really compare it to a busier time. There were a lot of locals in tourist destinations, as you'd expect. You go to anywhere in the world, and there are going to be a lot of people from that country or from that city. But most places we went to, there was one or two other tour buses there in a car park of about 20 tour bus spaces. And you could see international tourists coming from a mile away, because there were so few of them.
Right.
So, and if I would go to dinner and people in Kanazawa hadn't seen a tourist in 3 years,
isn't that crazy?
And they were just so pleased to see me. So that's certainly no policing, and quite the opposite. They're very welcoming and happy for us to be there.
It just sounds like the ideal place to go right now. So I'm excited for everybody that is actually heading out there soon. Hello, Maxine. Thank you so much for your comments. That's wonderful. And again, just to remind you, if you do have any questions, even after we finish this live here today, please pop them in the comments, because we will absolutely come back to you, and most likely it'll be Doug anyway, because he likes to answer your questions personally.
And just like I've seen a lot of questions on our posts, basically asking the same thing, which is what we've sort of tried to answer today. Can you leave your hotel? Can you go and have dinner? And the answer, from my experience, was yes. And it certainly will continue, I'd imagine, given that we're hoping that we are seeing that some of these restrictions that were in place, in theory, and possibly not even in theory, are being relaxed as well.
I agree with that.
If you are going to Japan in the next couple of months, you're really lucky, because you're going to be able to see it, unlike it's been for many years, and may not be the case again.
And look, guys, we will continue to follow the recommendations from the government in Japan about what it is that they require from us as a tour operator to ensure that you have all the right paperwork and everything is in order. So please rest assured that we will continue to do that. This conversation today with Doug is really to give you an insight into the reality on the ground. And I think that that's very valuable. But before we go, I can see a couple of questions here. Bren, yes, our next trip is Japan next year. That is so exciting, Bren. I can't wait. And Maxine is leaving on the 2nd of November. Yes. Lisa, is the tour suitable for teenagers? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, to answer that, we had a grandma and granddaughter there on the tour. So like it really is all ages. There were myself in my 30s, and there were people in their 40s as well. So a lot of people in sort of retirement age, but there's no restriction on it. Had someone in his 90s.
Yeah.
So you know, the age, there's no real age limit, or I mean, it's just purely just a really good way to experience Japan. That's what I felt.
One of our staff members just before everything went a little crazy in the world actually went to Japan with her 13-year-old daughter on one of our tours, and they had a brilliant time. So can speak firsthand for that, most definitely. So has Japan opened to tourists, please? Yes, so certainly pop back and listen to this live from the beginning. It will give you an update there from Doug. They are open to Australian passport holders with restrictions that we need to follow.
And also permanent residents
and permanent residents as well. Look, before we go, Doug, I really want to ask you one question. What was your favorite moment?
Oh, look, people ask me this, and I think probably Kyoto, just Kyoto in general. I really love the place, and I really can't wait to go back. It's such a beautiful city. And yeah, I couldn't give you one moment. Possibly there was a tiny restaurant in Kyoto which seated 7 people. And this guy just served like 1 or 2 things, like some sushi and some octopus, and just one of the nicest people I've ever met in my life, basically, this guy. So went there twice. And that was a really nice moment. But yeah, Kyoto in general is just a beautiful city. Love Tokyo as well, but yeah, would love to go back and spend some more time there, both of those places, I'd say.
So great. Yeah. I hope that happens for you soon.
Me too, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Doug, for the update. Thank you to everybody that's tuned in today. We really hope that you found that of great value. And again, we look forward to answering any questions. So feel free to pop anything in the comments and Doug will come back to you. See you again soon. Bye for now.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.